America is one of the most powerful and influential nations in the world. From economic dominance to military interventions, from Hollywood to Silicon Valley, the U.S. has shaped global culture, politics, and technology. But despite its influence, America is not loved by everyone. In fact, several countries have deep-rooted issues with the United States, whether due to historical conflicts, political disagreements, or economic sanctions. So, why do some nations dislike America? What are the reasons behind their resentment? Today, we will uncover the complex relationships between the U.S. and some of the countries that have the biggest grievances against it. Stay tuned as we explore the past, the present, and the underlying causes of this global tension. We are starting from number 10, and number 1 will shock you. Here we go. Number 10. Russia. The Cold War never ended. One of America's biggest rivals, Russia's dislike for the U.S. stems from decades of geopolitical conflict. The Cold War, 1947 to 1991, divided the world into two ideological camps, capitalism led by the U.S. and communism led by the Soviet Union. Even after the USSR collapsed, tensions never truly disappeared. The U.S. expanded NATO closer to Russia's borders, supported Ukraine against Russian aggression, and imposed economic sanctions on Moscow. Russia views America as an imperialist force trying to control the world, while America sees Russia as a threat to democracy. The ongoing war in Ukraine has only intensified this hostility, with the U.S. supplying billions in weapons to Kyiv. Number 9. Iran, a history of sanctions and regime change. Iran's hostility towards the U.S. dates back to 1953 when America helped overthrow Iran's democratically elected leader, Mohammad Mossadegh, and replaced him with the Shah, a pro-American ruler. This led to the 1979 Iranian Revolution, where Iranian militants stormed the U.S. embassy and took 52 Americans hostage. Since then, relations have remained tense. The U.S. has imposed heavy economic sanctions on Iran, accusing it of developing nuclear weapons and sponsoring terrorism. Iran, in turn, sees America as a colonial force that interferes in Middle Eastern affairs for its own benefit. The assassination of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani in 2020 by a U.S. drone strike only worsened relations. Many Iranians believe America wants to control the Middle East and suppress Iran's influence in the region. Number 8. North Korea. The evil empire of America. North Korea and the U.S. have had one of the most hostile relationships in modern history. The Korean War, 1950 to 1953, left North Korea devastated, and ever since, the country has viewed America as its biggest enemy. The U.S. has imposed strict economic sanctions on North Korea for its nuclear weapons program, while North Korea frequently threatens America with missile tests. The regime's propaganda portrays the U.S. as an imperialist force that seeks to destroy the Korean people. Despite brief moments of diplomacy such as the Trump-Kim summits, tensions remain high. North Korea sees America as a nation that bullies weaker countries and uses military force to maintain global dominance. Number 7. Venezuela, economic war and regime change. Venezuela, once one of the richest countries in South America, has been in political and economic turmoil for years. The U.S. has played a significant role in this crisis by imposing heavy sanctions on the country's oil industry and supporting opposition leaders against President Nicolas Maduro. Venezuelans see America as an external force trying to overthrow their government and control their natural resources. The U.S. claims its actions are in support of democracy, but many Venezuelans argue that American interference has worsened their economy. Relations were at their lowest when the Trump administration recognized opposition leader Juan Guaido as Venezuela's legitimate president, further fueling anti-American sentiment. Number 6. Pakistan, a love-hate relationship. Pakistan and the U.S. have a complicated relationship. During the Cold War, Pakistan was an American ally. But after September 11th, things changed. The U.S. pressured Pakistan to fight terrorism, leading to military operations that killed thousands of civilians. The biggest breaking point was the 2011 raid that killed Osama bin Laden in Abbottabad without Pakistan's knowledge. Many Pakistanis saw this as a violation of their sovereignty. The U.S. also frequently accuses Pakistan of harboring terrorists, while Pakistan believes America only supports it when convenient. Economic aid cuts and drone strikes in Pakistani territory have further damaged trust between the two nations. Number 5. Iraq, War, Invasion, and Chaos. Iraq's resentment toward America dates back to the 2003 U.S. invasion that toppled Saddam Hussein. The U.S. claimed Iraq had weapons of mass destruction, but none were ever found. The war led to hundreds of thousands of Iraqi deaths and left the country in political turmoil. Many Iraqis see the U.S. as an occupying force that brought destruction instead of democracy. The rise of extremist groups like ISIS, which emerged partly due to the power vacuum left by the U.S., further fueled anti-American sentiment. Even today, protests in Iraq frequently call for the removal of U.S. troops, and America's continued involvement in the region is viewed with suspicion. Number 4. Syria, the destruction of a nation. Syria's resentment towards the U.S. is tied to the devastating civil war that has raged since 2011. America has been involved in Syria's conflict, supporting rebel groups and carrying out airstrikes against the Assad government. While the U.S. claims it fights terrorism, many Syrians believe American intervention has worsened their country's crisis. U.S. sanctions have also crippled Syria's economy, making it difficult for ordinary citizens to rebuild their lives. America's presence in Syria, including military bases and alliances with Kurdish groups, has also angered the Assad regime and its allies like Russia and Iran. For many Syrians, the U.S. is seen as a foreign power interfering for its own interests rather than helping the people. Number 3. Turkey, a strained alliance. Although Turkey is a NATO ally, its relationship with the U.S. has been filled with tensions. One major issue is America's support for Kurdish groups in Syria, which Turkey considers terrorists. This has led to frequent clashes between Turkish and American interests in the region. Another point of contention is the 2016 failed coup attempt in Turkey. The Turkish government believes the mastermind, Fethullah Gulen, is hiding in the U.S. Yet Washington refuses to extradite him. This has fueled anti-American sentiment in Turkey. Additionally, Turkey's decision to buy Russian-made S-400 missiles led to U.S. sanctions and its removal from the F-35 fighter jet program. Many Turks believe America only supports their country when it aligns with U.S. interests. Number 2. Cuba. 6 decades of tensions. Cuba's hostility towards America goes back to the Cold War. After the Cuban Revolution in 1959, Fidel Castro established a communist government aligned with the Soviet Union. The U.S. responded by imposing a harsh trade embargo, which remains in place to this day. In 1961, the U.S. attempted to overthrow Castro in the failed Bay of Pigs invasion. A year later, the Cuban Missile Crisis brought the world to the brink of nuclear war. Since then, Cuba has remained defiant against American influence. Although there were brief moments of diplomacy, like under Obama's administration, U.S. sanctions and policies continue to hurt Cuba's economy. Many Cubans believe America wants regime change and control over the island nation. Number 1. China. The fight for global supremacy. China's rise as a superpower has put it in direct competition with the United States. Both countries are engaged in a fierce battle for economic, military, and technological dominance. Trade wars, accusations of espionage, and territorial disputes in the South China Sea have fueled tensions. The U.S. often criticizes China's human rights record, while China sees this as Western hypocrisy. Additionally, America's support for Taiwan is a major point of contention. Beijing views Taiwan as a breakaway province, while Washington supplies it with military aid. This rivalry extends beyond politics. Companies like Huawei, TikTok, and semiconductor industries are at the center of U.S. sanctions, further straining relations. The reasons why these countries dislike America are complex, deeply rooted in history, politics, and economic struggles. While some grievances are based on legitimate concerns, others are influenced by propaganda and ideological differences. However, despite these tensions, America remains a global superpower with strong allies and economic influence. The world is interconnected and conflicts often arise when powerful nations compete for dominance. But what do you think? Is America truly the global bully, or is it simply a nation acting in its best interests? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Wanderlust Ventures for more deep dive documentaries. See you in the next video.